I'ma chase success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or...
Hello. Welcome. How are we doing today, Annie?
You know, isn't there a TV program about that? Hello.
We can make our own version.
Mr. Bumble. I don't know which one it is.
Hello. Do.
How are you?
Today.
It's good to see you. I could carry on, Christiana. Come on now. You got kids. You must watch Mr. Bumble.
Yeah, can I be honest with you? I'm not a big fan. So when I see it on screen, I tend to switch channels for my child. I know it sounds mean. And besides, he's not into you know my little one. He's not into that. He wants to watch something else.
The whole point of kids, baby or kids that age, that they torture us to watch bizarre things.
He's not into that. He's into No, not his thing. He will switch over. If you put Teletubbies on for my child, you're in trouble, right? You're in big trouble. It's not his thing. He would rather watch Gecko, Mojo. What's the other one?
Now you're baffling me.
Paw Patrol. The reason is because all three things have one thing in common. They're always solving problems, right? So Gecko is a garage. It solves problems with vehicles. And Mojo solves problems with people getting stuck and using vehicles or tools or machinery to save and to solve the problem, right? Paw Patrol, the same thing. So they're always problem solving. My child is somebody who loves problem solving. So yes, when you engineering problem solving.
What's that? I say, banal kids programs is part of parenting. Every parent has to tell a story about how they were tortured by some rubbish I had to watch. I was. So.
I don't.
Anyway, we're here again, Christiana.
Anyway, we're here again. Hi, everybody. Welcome, and our apologies for the late start. Between myself and Annie, we do not have one good working technology that's in order. So we have to try and.
What do you mean?
Annie, don't start. Between the freezing of things and the throwing us out of our devices, we do not have one that works in good order. I repeat myself. So I want to say a big welcome and thank you for being here. Let me increase my screen because I think I can barely read this. So why is my screen so small today?
You need glasses.
Hi, Michelle. I don't need glasses. It's perfect.
You need glasses, Christiana.
I don't need glasses. Good morning, Michelle. Let's ignore Annie for now.
Well, you're not 45 yet. I've got mine. I got mine now. I got my reading glasses.
Do you know I was diagnosed with reading glasses when I turned 13, and I said no, that's not going to work. And my vision corrected itself. So
you wonder why you can't see anything.
Thank you. No, because my screen was small. I've just had to expand the screen.
You wonder why you can't see anything.
So as I was see you, leave me in peace, Annie. You and me. Let's not do basketballs, okay?
I'm far away enough from you to be safe, I think.
I have a car. That problem has been solved. I can reach you anytime.
I've got 6 hours to run the other way, right?
Apologies.
You come this way, I go that way. Anyway, ignore us.
Welcome.
Someone told me our waffle at the beginning puts people off. I'm like, no, some people just sit there just listening to us waffle about rubbish.
Let's not waffle about rubbish.
Let's try
to waffle about rubbish.
Especially with Michael here in the studio. Welcome, Michael. Glad you're here. Look, of course, my friends, if you're here,
come and join us, please. What is he laughing about?
He's laughing because he knows you and I are chaotic. You and I are just slightly bonkers.
That's why we make a good team.
Slightly, I like that word.
That's why we make a good team.
Oh no, it's not true.
Slightly. Yes. So
Massively bonkers.
ignore us. We're just us. We're being ourselves. You can't be anybody else because everybody else is taken. You might as well be yourself, right?
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. I
So,
agree.
as I was saying, welcome. Thank you for joining us. As always, I bring this topic. Last week was, International Day of Malaria, to kind of paying homage to malaria and the impact that it has on, people, on human beings. And I thought, something, we don't really talk about malaria and how it impacts, pregnancy and that leads to miscarriage. And it's something a lot of people kind of either shy away from or they don't really know how that happens or what happens in the process and how it comes about and so on and so forth. So you know me, Annie, I'm always thinking of ways to bring something different to the table with this show. And so it dawned on me to actually do something that is malaria and mosquito. And one of the crazy things I hear, and also in conversation with somebody last Sunday, about malaria. Somebody who had to go to hospital because they were suspected with potentially having malaria after traveling in, from the holiday. So the assumption was, have you flown in from Africa? And it got me thinking, how there can be misconceptions and myths. And one of the biggest myths is that Africa is the only continent that malaria hails from. And the truth is far from that. The truth is far from that. And I've heard this like so many times. The assumption is, oh, if you go away, if you get bitten, if you're pregnant, you must have gone to Africa. And the truth is, malaria also exists in Europe. And I remember the famous person who actually went away to Europe and came back with malaria was Cheryl Cole. Do you remember? But she's not a Cole anymore. She's just now Cheryl by herself, the pop star. Do you remember that, Annie? I don't know if you if you remember far back as
Well,
that.
she lost her surname.
Some Yes, many years ago.
Well,
Hi, Joe.
she might have divorced her husband, but she didn't lose her surname. She must have a surname.
No, she dropped Cole. If you remember, she was married to Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And then when they separated, she maintained the name, and then she remarried twice. She remarried and dropped the name. So she no longer has anyone's surname. She's just
She's
Cheryl
just
now.
Cheryl. Oh,
Yes.
it sounds like it'd be like yay.
She's just
He flashes his eyes.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joni. Welcome, Joni.
So
So
about
she's
you,
just
not
Cheryl
me,
now.
not me, not Michael, who looked pretty
So-
cute today, Missy. That's you. Okay.
So it was one of those things where she came back and the assumption was, had she gone to an African country or something, and people said, no, I was in Spain. I went to Europe, and I got bitten by mosquito, and now I have symptoms of malaria. And she was hospitalized and treated for that. So before I begin to say anything, I just want to squash that misconception that malaria only happens in the African continent. That is not so. You have malaria in places such as Germany, Spain. Like you have malaria wherever mosquitoes belong. Wherever they go, you will find them in European countries. Okay, so when you think about it, places like Austria, Bulgaria, Croatia, there's mosquitoes. We have places that have swamps or wet and damp areas. Germany, Greece, Hungary, goodness me, Italy, Malta, of all places. Portugal has swamps. Romania, Slovenia, Spain. As Cheryl Cole found out, or Cheryl, I should call her no longer Cole, but now just Cheryl. Found out that the Zika virus, does exist in other places, and so does the dengue fever in other places. But here is what I really want to speak to you guys about today in terms of when it comes to pregnancy, mosquitoes, and miscarriage. And today's session is going to be a short one, actually. The fact that when we think about it, we don't think about women being pregnant and traveling and then getting bitten by mosquito. No one thinks, oh, I'm traveling out, to Europe or any other country that mosquito does exist in, your first thought is not, I know, I'm just going to spray myself with either an anti-malaria, spray or a mosquito prevention
Repellent.
spray or
Mm.
repellent, right? You wouldn't think that. You're thinking, I'm packing my things, and especially if you're going on holiday to visit friends or family, you're more focused on the holiday that you're going to be going to, right? As opposed to you worrying about mosquitoes. It is not until you get there that you suddenly realize, oh my goodness, mosquito. And the one thing that mosquito loves is fresh blood. If you're the residents of that space or that country, mosquitoes will be fed up and tired of you because you're now old blood, right? If you're fresh into the country, you are yummy, a nice fresh blood for them to feast on and enjoy themselves, enjoy themselves and spread more disease. And so it's really something that really got me thinking. When you think about malaria infection during pregnancy, it's 3 to 4 times more of a higher risk, to contribute or cause miscarriage. When you think about it, compared to non-infected pregnant women, right? So those who are infected are 3 to 4 times more at risk of experiencing a miscarriage or stillbirth. So that is something that we need to think about. We need to think about, if we're going, don't take for granted that you know where you're going, you're going to be okay. Firstly, I would say to you, go and see your medical practitioner. Here in the UK, we call them GPs, right? Get that phone call. And especially in this country, it is so hard and difficult to get your GP appointment with a GP. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If you go, or ask your wife, she will tell you how hard it is to get a GP appointment these days. You've got to be up at 8 o'clock to be on that phone to make a phone call that's continuously, beautifully engaged for the duration of your 2 hours. And by the time you get there, the appointment is closed down. And you have to return at 2 p.m. to make the phone call. And then they say to you, oh, you've got the online booking system. That does not work. That does not work, right? And at this point, you're already so frustrated. For some people, they give up and think, oh, I'm just going to take the risk and go on holiday anyway. It doesn't matter. I'll be good. I'll be fine. All is well. The truth is, all isn't well. You won't be good. You won't be fine, because is that risk? Is that risk of, getting bitten? Do you want to risk that? Let's think about it. We have 30 million women, who get pregnant to begin with, right? Who become pregnant annually in a malaria, region. Let's begin with Africa. As you will tell me, there's Africa, there's Europe. We have 30 million women, in Africa that become pregnant. Does that make sense? And think about that. Malaria during pregnancy contributes to up to 200,000 newborn deaths a year, right? And I know people thinking, well, when you think about 30 million women being pregnant and 200,000, it's only 300,000, as I've heard said. Actually, one death is too many to begin with, let alone 200,000 deaths, of newborns. And that's before we speak about those who miscarry. So this is just newborns, not people who have a miscarriage, right? Think about it for a moment. I'll let that just marinate. And in areas with high malaria transmission, 35% of pregnant women are exposed to the disease during pregnancy. So if you are out there not using your net and your repellent sprays, please make sure, or someone who is traveling to these parts of the world, help them to help themselves. Be that person that will put that preventative care inside their bag for them or their luggage, so that when they are not expecting to have or see that, it's there. They've got it. The mosquito net is real. It is not a figure of your imagination or a figure of speech. It's something that is really required, And I'll come to how to put or how to ensure that you are properly protected, a little later. And let's think about that for a second. A study in Myanmar's border found that a single episode of malaria in the first trimester, so trimester one, between 0 to your 12-week pregnancy, right, increased the risk of miscarriage to 16%. Okay. So for those who are Plasmodium, falciparum infections, compared to 9% in uninfected women. So the two main differences between the two. So you have what is known as Plasmodium and falciparum and Plasmodium vivax. Okay. So the two main differences of the two viruses is the severity. One is fatal, the other can cause defects, serious defects in your unborn child, whereas one will seriously contribute to you experiencing a miscarriage or newborn deaths. And so it's really important that we think about not just ourselves, but our unborn babies or our babies that are about to be born. How does mosquito, so let's look at the chain. Mosquito bites you, it gets into your bloodstream, right? You have the symptoms of malaria. How does it then affect your baby? How does it happen? So it affects your placenta. So let's not forget, the placenta is what houses the babies that we carry. Okay. It holds our babies in there. It affects the placenta. What that does is, from the bloodstream, it affects your placenta to the point that it starts to, dehydrate. It starts to cause your baby to slow down. So you have things like low birth rates in pregnancy if you have been infected by a mosquito bite. So it will reduce, kind of the pregnancy rate. Things like premature birth is also linked to malaria. Low birth weight is linked to malaria. So your child, normal child, I would say normal child, full term, right? Pregnancy full term, we're looking at sometimes 6 pound, 7 pound babies. When you have someone who's has been bitten by mosquito and then now they're facing malaria, that birth rate drops down, from 5.5 and below pounds, by the way, 5.5 pounds and below, which is quite a low birth rate. And when you think about it, okay. And so it's really important that we are really thinking of how do we keep ourselves safe during pregnancy, and if we have to travel. I mean, when you speak to your GP will say to you, if you can avoid traveling, please avoid it at all costs. However, if you're in a country that you're residing in that does have, mosquitoes, is how do we prevent that mother from experiencing a mosquito bite and also then experiencing malaria as a result of being bitten? Things like having the right mosquito nets, having your repellent spray, making sure that once you know that you're bitten, go and see your doctor who will prescribe the right medication for you. Best medication for this is known as mefloquine. So there are some medications that are not safe for your baby. So it's always advisable to speak to your healthcare practitioner to ensure that you have the right medication for you. Because what could be the right medication for one pregnant woman may be the wrong medication for the next pregnant woman. So the advice, and my advice is I always strongly suggest speak to your healthcare practitioner first to firstly diagnose, and secondly give you the right prescription and give you the right instructions of what to do, how to keep safe for your own case. Generically, how to keep safe is ensure that you're keeping your doors closed in your homes. You're ensuring that you have net all around your windows. Any hole, any gap that you've got in your homes must be covered by netting to ensure that the mosquito doesn't penetrate and enter your homes and cause you harm. So I'm going to pause here and say if anybody would like to come and join us on stage. I'm just going to have a look, join us on stage and share or tell us your story. Or if you've got any questions or have any comments to make, by all means. I'll open up the floor first to Annie and then Michael. Your thoughts, please, gentlemen.
I was thinking, what's the GP gonna do for you? And the answer is nothing really. Tell you the obvious, right? Don't go. Yeah, don't go. I agree. Don't go. Otherwise,
and prescription, so they might help you with a prescription.
I think the medication doesn't work now. Our treatments don't work now. The net might work as long as you wrap yourself in it. Number one.
Yes.
I say that no, those malaria or mosquito repellent, they never. When I go on holiday, I get bitten. My wife gets bitten. My kids get bitten. So I don't know where we're going. They don't work.
You're going to the wrong places. Find the wrong things.
And that's why I tend to go on holiday. So, but no, they don't work, right? So don't look at me.
They do work.
But no, look. But in truth, the numbers are shocking. The numbers are shocking. I think this has never crossed my mind, but I think this. Okay, let's keep the midwives for a bit longer. It's not all their fault.
Of course, but Annie, I think it's whenever I bring these things to the table for discussion, I always hear, "I wasn't aware of that." And my thing is, this is the reason why we've got to keep having these conversations, because there's a lot of people that go on their daily lives, day-to-day tasks and things, and so on and so forth. We take a lot for granted when it comes to these kinds of topics. When it comes to miscarriage, not just miscarriage and baby loss, but kind of the more detailed aspects, like we spoke about rhesus, a couple of weeks ago, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And people at my DM people said to me, I didn't know that existed. Like I didn't know that something like that, like blood groups or deformity or anything like that existed. This is the reason why we have to keep having these conversations. We have to keep putting these things out there, because we can avoid 200,000 newborn deaths a year, right? It can be avoided. It's how do we prevent them? How do we, or if not totally eradicating it, we can reduce that amount, surely, right?
Those mosquitoes, they're peckish and they're conniving. They're always hungry. They'll find a way to come and get you, right? And they will.
But it's a matter of acting fast. It's a matter of acting fast. Is acting fast. For pregnant women, the moment you were bitten by a mosquito, you must act fast. Especially when what has happened also when you are a resident in that country, before you got pregnant, you're like, oh, I've been bitten before, I was okay, yes, fine, just itchy and so on and so forth. But you now have to think, I've been bitten and I'm carrying a child, right? So there's an extension. That extension is that child you're carrying, and the way that bite translates and transmits, and also the way that it changes in the body, because now you're dealing with different. First of all, when you're pregnant, you have hormones all over the place, right? The second thing is when you're bitten, there is something new, something different that is affected, right? So you're carrying that baby. There's now a placenta, something new inside of you that mosquito is going to see and think, oh, I say mosquito, not the mosquito itself, but the actual blood, the actual bite, the virus is now going to think something new. Let me see what I can do. Let me go and insert. Imagine that virus is traveling and it finds something different. It hasn't been here before. Oh, I'm curious, what's here? Let's see. Oh, I can feed on this too. Let me help myself, right? And that poor innocent child is there having a lie in, thinking, I can barely breathe, what's going on? Right? I can barely breathe, what's going on? We have to think about that. You've got someone else inside you, and you've got to ensure that you do everything possible to keep that baby safe. So where before you've been bitten by mosquito, and as you said, Annie, or it's itchy, you scratch yourself. When you're pregnant, you cannot take that risk. You've got to get checked immediately. You've got to get straight on to your, especially within the first trimester, you've got to get straight onto your medications to ensure that that poison that's inside of you is eradicated as fast as possible. So yes, Michael, let me hear from you.
Hold on. No, Michael, pardon me. I'll come back to you. I'll come to you in a second.
Hi, Journey.
Meet you. Let's welcome our friends. Kimberly, haven't seen you
Hi,
for a
Kimberly.
while.
I know. Good morning, Kimberly.
Glad you're here. Mrs. Cyrus,
So
our
good to see you.
podcaster in chief.
Hi, Cyrus. Good to see you.
He's the one who creates that amazing music at the beginning and end of my shows. So do connect with him. Cyrus, glad you're here. Dr. Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Look what I found.
Journey.
How you do backgrounds? How you do backgrounds? Oh man, I'm gonna spoil everyone's life with my background. I'm gonna be brand new.
Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, it's a random thing.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually met her, so what can I say?
That's sad.
Yeah, it really is. Linda.
Hi, Linda. Good morning, Linda. Welcome.
And Joni, of course, we see you. So Sarah say GP is a general practitioner. So
it's a medical doctor. Yes. If you're not from the UK, GP is a medical practitioner, is a medical doctor, qualified medical doctor.
Is it just when you get past the appointment setting issue that you find that your GP is retired?
Of course.
Just ever worked, right? So that I don't trust them anyway.
But to be fair, these days you don't get. See, back in the day, you can get a GP that sees you through for life of all of your issues, These days, you don't have a dedicated GP to you. It's whoever is available that gets to see you.
If you're lucky, that.
Yes, if you're lucky.
They'd rather you pay them to see you in private practice. Same GP. So you have to pay them. It's a free health service. How does that work? Anyway, let's not argue about GPs.
Cyrus, I would love to meet the mosquito that drinks beer. Seriously, I would shake their hands and their legs. But you're right in what you're saying.
He's being funny.
The female ones, it's funny.
Awesome.
Of course,
my friends, you're welcome. We'd love to have you in the studio. The link is in the comments section of our event page.
Yes,
my friends who are on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, yay! Please like today's video, comment on today's video, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Bless you, Joni. Bless you.
Yes, Cyrus. If you can join us on stage at some point. Where's the coach David today?
To tell you what I do, Joni, I figured we need 27 pictures for your book, Joni. 27 dinosaur pictures.
More? But I already sent them all to you.
No, we need more. We need real ones and not. We need proper ones.
No, I want the ones that I did.
Real dinosaurs?
Okay.
We'll talk later about that.
I was the ones you sent me, so I've been trying to make.
I like the ones I sent. I think they look nice.
All right.
But okay.
Right, people. We'll still dinosaurs later. Michael, talk to us, please.
Oh well, you guys said a whole lot of things, but okay. So first thing that I'd like to tackle is your friend, whoever it is that went to Spain and got bitten. There's a probability that she already had the mosquito bug within, or the malaria virus within her. It was just dormant, not doing anything until she got bitten, and then some sort of net probably activated it and created a scenario such that it seemed like as if she contracted malaria from Spain.
To give it life.
She's probably been carrying it around for quite a while and just didn't know. Because the medication that you take is anti-malaria, and most probably, how it is, you take a little bit of malaria and you you put it, you what do you call it? You
What to
inject the
do with
person
virus?
so
Yes.
that they can create antiviruses for
Mm-hmm.
that. So that is most likely the case why she contracted malaria
Of
while she was in
course.
Spain. The other thing is Annie's inability to fight off mosquito bites. So when even if he applies the repellents and so on and so forth in the family, that is most likely a genetic thing. But certain bodies just don't mix well with the repellent. The repellent
Mm.
just doesn't do anything. I mean, you put it on your body, and you have sweat, you produce all this stuff, and once it gets in touch on there, the chemicals just do not mix, and so it just neutralizes the repellent. Therefore,
Yes.
the mosquitoes say, "Hey, look, we have a buffet coming along. Check it out." So I can only
Lunchtime menu
imagine that's,
served.
yeah, exactly. So Annie, that's one thing to keep in mind is that you just are lunch. That's about it. You most probably have the ability to fight off mosquitoes and also the malaria in your body because you're from Africa and and your body has built up resistance, and so you just pass that on genetically to your children. I do not know about your wife. That's an odd thing, but anyway, there's also a probability she may have built up the immunity just being in close contact with you for some reason or another.
But
Um,
don't forget that we as humans we have parasites in our bodies, and mosquitoes are bites of
yes,
parasites. They're parasitic, so you are
yes,
going to you have parasites that lay dormant, and once you're bitten and this virus connects, it's a pathogen that means that they will have to communicate in the body
mm-hmm,
to then increase the risk of the malaria or the whatever symptoms of sickness that you do develop
mm-hmm.
ultimately. So that's one thing to say, that as humans we have parasites in our bodies all day long. Depending on what happens to
Very
us, it
true.
might amplify or and remain laying dormant.
Yes, absolutely. We don't know that much about the body and all these parasites that are in there, but we do know that they're there. They exist, and it's
Yes.
a reality that we have to investigate and allow our children to come up with solutions later on down the road. Um, Also, in addition, the idea of wrapping a net around your body, I'd pretty much say that's
Pennies.
not going to work. Yeah, for any, I don't think it's going to work.
But Michael, I think what was making me laugh is it's not the thought of just the net, is any being wrapped up in a net. I wonder, I would pay good money to see this. What would you look like from head to toe wrapped in a mosquito net? Does anybody else want to join me? Pay good money to see any in a mosquito net walking around, walking around 6 foot two. New trendsetter, right? So yes, is Michael disappeared? Is he falling off the virtual cliff? We can't hear you, Annie. I think you're on mute.
Michael was doing so beautiful as well. About to
Yeah, I know he was. To be fair, he was hanging behind the scenes in the green room.
Mm.
So I think his computer's like, I've had enough of hanging around now. Got to go.
I mean, well, I suppose it's still early, so it might be like signal might have just fallen off, or maybe. Oh, we found him. We found you,
Yeah,
Michael.
yeah, I just temporarily got kicked out. But, that's a thing that what do you call it? This application does. For some reason, as it's trying to fill up the bank or record whatever is being going on in the background, it tends to kick me out, and then once it's done recording, it allows me back in. So I'm like,
Oh,
well,
okay.
hmm.
Sounds interesting.
Well, yeah, if you probably run into it at some point later
Hmm.
on, if as soon as you get away from your laptop and use the iPhone or your phone, that's where I'm actually running into it. Is in that area. So,
Mm.
um, last but not least, what was I gonna say? And that's yeah, that's in regard, and I was saying that that's in regards to what you said initially. Um, when you're pregnant, your body changes, and um, your chemical your chemicals also change. So being bitten before pregnancy and even after pregnancy is not the same as being bitten during
No,
pregnancy. They're different.
exactly.
There's huge differences there. It's just like, you know, maybe even you could probably say the same thing as if you were to go into um how should I say this? When you never mind. Never mind. There's definitely a difference, and that's why you certainly, and I agree with you there. You certainly need to know what the differences are. And since you're carrying a baby, you certainly need to know to ensure that you're taking extra precautions to ensure that you do not get bitten by mosquitoes, or you do not go into Africa after a certain period of time, just in case um, you get bitten or you get exposed to malaria. Because African mosquitoes,
Hmm.
especially in Uganda, oh geez, they love. I mean, we've got huge
Fresh
lakes,
blood.
and yeah, and the area is tropical. Unless
Hmm.
you've been living there for a long time and built up immunity, you are susceptible to being bitten. And everybody gets bitten. It doesn't matter
Yes.
whether you've been there for long or whether you've been there for a short time. You do get bitten. All right,
Hmm.
that's about it.
And
Thanks.
thank you, Michael. Thanks for that. I appreciate your contribution. And I'm going to add to what you said. Earlier on, I mentioned, what is that noise? Earlier on, I mentioned, the two differences in the parasites. We've got Plasmodium falciparum, which literally is the primary, and Plasmodium vivax. The two key differences with Plasmodium vivax, which is a primary infection, it attacks the immature red blood cells. So those two are parasites that goes in the body to attack the immature blood cells, and then whereas Plasmodium falciparum will attack all stages of red blood cells, right? And when you are, or I should put it this way, when your red blood cells are being dehydrated, they struggle to really keep your immune system working. So it means that the parasites, command of your own parasites, have so much of a work to do to be able to keep you well. So I always say go and see your GP. If you're in the UK, we say GP. If you're not in the UK, go and see your doctor and get your medication as quickly as possible. The medication that you can really take is things like Primaquine, but as I mentioned previously, earlier on, sorry, in this conversation, methylquine is more, or is the safest for women who are pregnant, and to help them to either eradicate or reduce the risk of premature birth, low birth weight, stillbirth, or miscarriage, complete miscarriage. So it's really, like as I mentioned previously, it's really important that you go and see your healthcare practitioner the moment you are aware that you've been bitten by a mosquito. Don't wait. Don't say, "Oh, I've been bitten before I was pregnant. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll be fine." Or do whatever you did before, and before you were pregnant. So really take the time to care for yourself by seeking medical advice. If you're somebody who is going into a space where that is new to you, you must act immediately. Really important that you seek medical treatment immediately, because that is the fastest way. Let's not forget, especially for those who are in their first trimester of pregnancy, up to 12 weeks, you have to seek medical attention immediately to prevent all of the above, or just the risk of miscarriage, the risk of stillbirth, the risk of premature birth, the risk of low birth weight, and any other outcomes that may happen as a result of you contracting the disease. That's really important. And for those who are just joining us, we are speaking today about mosquito malaria and the impact on women who are pregnant, and really how to avoid going into places that may increase your risk of being bitten by mosquito. And also, if you're in a place that has a high risk of being bitten, you normally the GP advice is not to travel to those areas if you can avoid it. If you're not able to avoid it, or if it's unavoidable, as you know, coming to a better word, if it's unavoidable, then it's really important that you take necessary steps to protect yourself and your baby by ensuring. And I know, Michael, you mentioned, you know, some of these sprays. I must say, and this is an important factor, it's important to also ask your medical practitioner the best way forward, the best prevention that you can take. Some people might be allergic to things, so be mindful of that. Always undertake a patch test so you're not exposing you and your baby to harmful chemicals. Really important for that, for you guys to do that. So make sure you're taking precautions immediately, making sure that your homes are very well protected and ventilated, where you can have things like air conditioning. Really important. Get some air conditioning in your home, and ensure that you are not exposing yourself or going too deep into places that are swarms, to keep you and your baby safe. Before I continue, I'm going to welcome Joni. It's been a while. Good to see you. Great to be here. Good morning to you. Welcome, welcome.
It's only been a minute, Joni. A minute.
Yes, we haven't seen you in a minute. It's been a minute since I last saw you. How are you? Tell us
I've
what
been dealing
you contributed to our conversation.
puppies. So yeah, my dog was pregnant. She had a great birth.
Yay, congrats.
And gave birth to 8 puppies. And I'll try to go grab one from her. She's very sensitive right now. But
don't do that,
I'll
please.
try to show you guys.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, I take them all the time. They need like the human handling, because eventually she'll get sick of nursing and then I do all the work. So
you nurse them.
Anyway, I'm so glad that I might be on more now because I'm like home with her and it's hard to leave. So anyways, just want to say hi, congratulations to your topic. I think it's really important. And actually right now, I don't know if you guys know it, but like in the United States, we're having a huge outbreak of the measles, and it's really scary. And that is way more harmful to a woman who is pregnant than malaria, than Zika, than anything. And just shows to the importance of getting vaccinated, because it's so easy to get vaccinated. And that's all you have to do for the measles. And the measles can lead to, you know, obviously stillbirth, but like growth defects, liver malfunction,
yes,
a lot. And so I think, you know, when you're pregnant, like just know that there are little teeny germs out there, teeny little bugs, whatever, that can really hurt you. And your body can hurt you too. Like it's if you didn't take proper care of yourself before you got pregnant. You know, I think I've told you this before, but I had 2 miscarriages. One was a total normal baby, and one had some like genetic defects. And that was really hard for me, but I have 3 kids. I'm okay. Like time does make you okay, of course. And but my middle daughter, she had this hematoma. She was like probably like this big, and the hematoma was this big. And they were like, well, you're gonna lose her. I'm like what do I say about that? So I was so nervous, and essentially my body like absorbed the hematoma, and she grew, and she is a healthy bitchy 13-year-old now. So
That's how you threw that in, the B word.
I'm like, are you so bitchy because of the hematoma? I don't know about that.
She's just being herself. Everybody
But
else is taking Joni.
she was my strongest baby because of that. My son also, he was born 5 weeks early because they found I had cancer literally right when like 2 days before he's born. And then he was in the NICU for 7 days, like 0 blood sugar. And he's the dopest little boy I know. He's fine. So having a good doctor is really important. And going to a good hospital is really important. And taking care of yourself and your children with vaccinations, that's absolutely my opinion. It is really important. And also, fun fact, I had a mosquito netting over my bed as like a princess canopy. It was a fashion style back in the day. And I felt like, oh, this is gorgeous. And so they were like $10 at like the toy store. I was like, I need this. And so I'm not as scared about, I guess, bug bites. I know because I don't necessarily travel to a lot of places, but I am really scared about people not getting vaccines, and that it's something that people are going to figure out,
Yes.
Robert Kennedy, doing a good job, brother. Doing a fucking good job. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to get political. And then one more point. I have, the puppies. So puppies do not regulate their body temperature until 10 to 14 days. So they need to be near their mama. They need to be fed. They don't even open their eyes till 10 days. And so it's nature taking care of itself. But just think, like, we have human babies that need so much nurturing in our womb. And when they come out, just make sure those first couple months, like, it's just really important to do a lot of like skin to skin contact. If you can nurse, but if you can't, it's okay. And so that's those were my points.
Thank you, Joni. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate the points you just made. It's true. So thinking about what you said, I want to add this to it. We speak about those, and I've spoken lots about those who come to realize they've been bitten by mosquito. Now we know that mosquito is a silent killer, in the sense that some may not actually know that they have this poison inside them, but they may have symptoms, whether you are going from hot to cold, feeling feverish, swelling, or kind of like a rash that comes up on the arm for some people. There's redness. There's all these things that we might think, oh, because I'm pregnant. When people are pregnant, I'm pregnant, things happen to the body changes. We spoke about, and Michael quite rightly so mentioned, hormones. Our hormones manifest itself in so many different ways, takes different shapes and forms, whether it's a mood swings or whether it's, you're not sitting down. Some people have the P word. I'm not even going to say it. So there's so many, it sounds like miles, but never mind. So some people have all these things that happens to the body. We cannot ignore the signs. When you have that sign, when you're feeling feverish, when you have a headache, when you are, drained in energy, don't please make assumptions because you're pregnant. If you're in a space, in a country, in a place, in a continent that you know that mosquitoes exist and they do attack humans. I'm going to use the word attack because I've been away and I felt like I've been attacked by mosquitoes. I'm like, what's going on? Get off me, right? And so you mustn't ignore that. Because
it really affects different humans different ways.
It does. It really
So,
does.
you know, I got a mosquito bite and it's like nothing. It literally clears up in a day. It's so bizarre because I'm allergic to a lot of things actually. And but my middle daughter, it's like a welt. And so even if you're not like typically allergic, just
Yes.
take note, you know, like maybe just say, hey, like doctor, like I've bitten by mosquitoes. What should I look for? And so,
Yes.
and also especially like different colors of skin, like they show up differently. And so it
Exactly.
is very important to just know your body. And you know, I didn't know that, you know, when my fingers grew to the size of sausages, I couldn't even open a door handle. That maybe like I should have called about that. So
No, it's
it
that
is
long to begin with.
it is
Jodie.
good to have a really good OB, and I had a great one for my two girls. My son, not so much, but go to a teaching hospital if possible. For I don't know if that's what you guys call it there, but
We do have
that
it here,
is the best place to I deliver a baby. They have the best research, and so I would recommend that.
I agree. Let me go back to the point that Annie made. I don't know if he's still here, but Annie made a point in to say that how is it that 200,000 babies lose their lives? Why are we not doing something about this? Why are we not speaking about this? It's because at times we do not break the silence. It's a little bit like miscarriage. We're talking about miscarriage, or miscarriage in malaria and diseases that actually kill, that prevent our babies from growing to full term. And so it's really important that we have to start to create awareness and discuss these topics so that people become aware. What you take away from today, you may help somebody else. You may ask that question: have you felt feverish today? When someone says, oh, I don't feel well and I'm bitten by a mosquito, don't allow them to sit down and ponder. Support them in getting themselves to be medically checked and given the okay or the all clear, so that you get to save not just one life, but two lives. Because prevention for me is better than curing, because we don't always get to cure. You may not completely cure. And so it's important that we prevent 200,000 newborns dying unnecessarily, especially in parts of Africa in the world, that we think that it might not happen to me. It may not, I hear it, but it may not happen to me or my family. And in that moment, you're thinking it might not happen to you, is when that one fateful time or day, it may end up happening to you. So I am literally using this opportunity to plead with people: talk about this. Let's foster a conversation. Let's foster, how cute. Let's foster a conversation. Let's foster, awareness. Let's create awareness. Let's be able to say, what can we do? Can you hold, support, or open up an opportunity for people to come and talk about what they're going through, ask questions, and I'm asking the professionals, in terms of healthcare professionals here, how often do we do outreach work to support our communities, to ensure that people are aware, people have the knowledge in these things, not necessarily having to deal with or treat, but just creating awareness, just having a room, a space that people can come and ask questions about unknown, to really get that knowledge, in these topics. I honestly believe that by educating ourselves, we get to prevent, 200,000 babies dying a year. It really is important. I'm wondering, do you have any questions from our beautiful audience? If you're just joining us, thank you, Suzanne. Good day. Good day to you too. If you're just joining us, we are talking
Christina,
about.
I have to put this back.
Sorry?
I have to
Put
put her back
back.
with my mom, with her mom. But this is
a tiny, tiny one.
that is a 2-day-old golden retriever.
How cute. So
I mean, there is 8 of them. It's the cutest thing in the
you
whole
gotta
world.
you gotta put her back. Go.
I'm gonna put her back.
Go put her back.
I like to take each one of them so that they get used to my scent. I'm gonna put her back. Go take answers from the audience.
Okay, so feel free to put your questions in the chat so that we can answer your questions, or by all means, be brave enough to come and join us live on stage in the studio. Have a conversation with us. Tell us about your experience, your story, somebody else's story, case study, whatever you wish to do, before we close the show. So, Annie, you're back. You just appeared on us. You left us.
I'm never away. How do I move the screens if I'm not here, Christiana?
Who knows? Just magical fingers.
Who knows? It's like magic.
You've got. It's like magic.
Yes, even though I'm not expecting gadgets yet. My arms aren't that long, so I do have to actually be here within reason.
Oh, you make it happen, Annie.
No, welcome, Joyce. I see you as well. Nice. I met Joyce.
Hi, Joyce. Welcome.
So I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. And Suzanne,
thank you for coming and joining us. Yes, I said Suzanne too. Guys, I really appreciate you guys being here and, joining us. As I always say, I don't take you guys being here for granted. You take out time from your busy schedule to support us. I am so grateful for this, and I'm sure Annie echoes what I'm saying. We're grateful. We don't take it for granted because we know that people are busy. You could have chosen to do something else, but you chose to spend your time with us. So thank you. We appreciate you so much. And I'm going to say, if you have any questions, if you have any, comments to make, and you'd like to join us on stage, please don't be shy. We don't bite, not much. Come and join us. Come and join us and share. So going to say that when it comes to the medication, mefloquine, even though it's generally safe, it's important to talk about the risk factors, right? And the benefits with your healthcare practitioner. So especially if you have a history of mental illness, epilepsy, depression, and also if you take these medications whilst you have these different conditions, you may find that it will exacerbate or worsen your condition. So it's really important that whatever medication that you are being placed on or you're prescribed by your healthcare practitioner, that you ask for the side effects and do your best. It's not always easy because sometimes you want to go in front of someone we haven't met before. Like I mentioned previously, if you're in the UK these days, you no longer have a set doctor you see every time you go to hospital, every time you go and visit your GP. You get to see anyone who's available, right? Back in the day, you had that one GP from birth right through to when you're no longer on this planet. Because of the obviously shortage of resources, it is whomever is available on the day that you visit. Okay. And so I say this to say, please don't be shy or reluctant. I'm thinking I'm in front of a stranger. I can't be giving my personal information or my personal history out, because that's the very thing that could save your life. So when you're in front of your health practitioner, be honest about the conditions that you have, about some of the things that may not be recorded in your medical records, because not everything that people experience go on their medical records. And so it's important that you share that information so that when they are prescribing medication for you, they can prescribe medication that will be best for you in that situation and in that moment. Please, it's important. Let's do that, And also, let's also discuss how to take them. So again, don't walk away and go home and think, oh, do I take 2 a day? Do I take 1 a day? Even if you forget, don't be afraid to go back and ask the question, how many do I take a day? Because again, we don't want to overdose ourselves with anti-malarial medication. Not a great start, especially for our unborn babies. Really important that we follow all of the prescription instructions that have been given to follow. And also, do your best to complete the course of treatment. Some begin the course of treatment and then they stop when they feel like they no longer have the symptoms. As we spoke earlier, we have parasites that dwell in us dormant. We have, also the same parasites that will impact, affect, attack, all these words I'm using, the immature red blood cells in our bodies. So let's think about how the medication that's set to help support, to treat the condition can help us if we complete the course completely. So do your best to make sure that your medication is completed from start to finish, unless you are told otherwise by your healthcare practitioner. Okay, I think for this week, I'm going to leave it there. I can say so much more on the subject. However, I really wanted to leave it kind of brief and bring kind of the awareness, so it gets you guys thinking. It's a food for thought session today for those who are joining us. And if you're watching this on a replay and you have any questions, please reach out to my DM. You can find me according to my name on the screen right now on LinkedIn. If you're watching this on YouTube, send a message, and by all means, we'll do our best to get back to you, with an answer or whatever your inquiries are. I am Christiana. For those who haven't met me before, I am Christiana T. Johnson. I am a miscarriage and baby loss coach. I support and help women and men to move forward with clarity and confidence after they've experienced a miscarriage. What that looks like is I could help you with, support with disclosing what you're going through with your loved ones, with your workplace, with your colleagues, and whoever else that you choose to share this information with, and to support you, your grieving process, to support you with the questions that you may have that really are difficult. I also offer 90 minutes programs where I'm able to give you a master class on miscarriage, baby loss, and the impact and how to move forward. I also work with professionals, and what I mean by that is organizations and companies who may want to educate their workforce in how to support those who've experienced this trauma. I do speaking engagements also, so who may want to support their employees. I also am sometimes called to be a support within your EAP. EAP is your employee assistance programs in an organization or a company that is trying to support a member of their team with this trauma. And I am somebody who they call to come on board to help with all of that. So that is done via training, via one-to-one and group coaching. And also with healthcare practitioners, in terms of working with them, is getting them to understand really how to truly connect with women and men who've experienced miscarriage and baby loss, how to really deliver that message sensitively, and many considerations to take on board when that happens, and remind them of, I guess, their bedside manners sometimes. But the biggest one for me is the use of outdated terminologies, so medical terms that no longer are fit for purpose, like incompetent cervix or like hostile womb. Like, who goes to battle with their womb, really and truly? There are other ways and other words that we can use, modern day ones. And if you want to know what they are, feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to come to your workplace and give you a few of these words, and to really help you to understand that those of us who've experienced this are left feeling even more doomed when we hear those words. It doesn't leave us feeling good, positive, or in a positive mind state of mind. It leaves us feeling quite negative, and it takes those around us to support us to be able to, move forward from those names and from those terminologies. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm going to yield my mic, but I'm just noticing what Joni is doing. But yes, I'm going to yield my mic. Again, I ask for anyone who has any questions or any comments or any experience that wants to come on studio to share for the last few minutes to join us.
And
By all means,
Christiana,
jump on.
I
Yes,
have a
Joni.
quick just suggestion, really.
Mhm.
So many women are getting pregnant later and later. They're just choosing to get pregnant later. So it is pretty natural for a woman's body to get pregnant at 25. But now they're, 45. And
Mhm.
it's a lot easier to have things go wrong.
Yes.
So maybe you could do an episode on, that type of thing, IVF, freezing eggs, like,
Fertility. Mhm.
so they call it geriatric pregnancy after like 36 or 35. I'm like,
I was called that at 34, and I was like, okay, thank you.
yeah, you're definitely geriatric at 40. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, really?
34. Oh my goodness. It's just like I feel like that should be a term that we should all be changing.
Do you know something, Joni? Thank you for saying that. It's funny because I had a call this morning asking me to come and do training on this issue, fertility issue for women who are choosing to I say choosing, not necessarily by choice in that sense, but women who are becoming mothers or parents later in life, and kind of the impact and some of the isms behind fertility, the journey that people go through, whether be it IVF, freezing their eggs, and all these things that women are now doing and going through. So I'm going to be doing that privately for this organization who've asked me to deliver something of that nature. But it is true. It's funny you say that, because the very first client that I had on Clubhouse a few years back, it's been a minute since then, back, was about that, about the I had to, and I really I was so taken aback that she trusted me with what was so personal, personal to her, in subjects like freezing eggs, and fertility treatments, and the impact it has on your mental health, on your physical health, especially the physical aspect of it, and what's required. And I think when you mention that, we forget the conditions that women have even before the consideration of becoming pregnant, are some of the reasons why it's taken up until they're older to be able to face or look at fertility or look at the pregnancy and family planning journey. Some people will experience things like PCOS, so polycystic ovary syndrome, is something that's very real for some women, and they go through years of hardship and heartbreak and all of these things before they eventually become pregnant, and 10 years could go by. So women aren't necessarily choosing to have children older. For some women, and in
A lot
the
are.
clients I've worked with, there is so much more that happens behind the scenes. There's so much trauma and so many things that they've had to face. And some temporarily they'll just park it to one side. They'll say, okay, I've gone through this for 5 years now. Perhaps I just focus on my career, help myself build more stability, and then return to it. And before they know it, the years have just gone by. So thank you very much for that. That contribution.
I do
and that
think we should do something about that geriatric pregnancy. I mean, I'd feel more comfortable with like a Grammy pregnancy.
Okay.
But like, let's change that word. It's so horrible. I mean, my friend just got pregnant and she's been through IVF and everything for, God, 20 years. Like, she's been trying to get pregnant. She's 44 and she's pregnant. It's 5 months. She's like, just let this one last.
Yes.
And she cracks me up about like the geriatric pregnancy. She's like, I play tennis every day. I don't know. Like, I don't feel geriatric. I'm like, you just need to play tennis every day. All right.
You do. You just need to.
What do the geriatrics do?
They play tennis.
They play tennis.
Let me welcome Alicia. For joining us.
Seriously, like maybe just like I can't think of it.
Thank you, LinkedIn user.
Adolescent.
Alicia,
I'm gonna workshop that.
Yeah, you should.
We have a LinkedIn user that is not me for a change.
For a second I thought it was you. I had to go and look.
Yeah.
It's my friend Alicia. I haven't seen her for months.
Alicia, welcome. Thank you for being here. So good to see you here.
She appreciates your turn.
Well done. Yes. That is not to make us feel. I said to my practitioner back then, I was like, when I think I'll turn 30, and they said to me, you're getting old now. You're like old to start dealing with pregnancy. And I had to look at him and said, I don't feel old. Do you realize I do 32 hours of fitness classes a week? That's not old. So yeah, it's one of those things.
You look
just
perfect.
have to really think about it. I'm like,
okay, workshopped. Okay, so you got a Nas pregnancy or a Kendrick Lamar pregnancy? There. Why? I just did it. I did it in my head.
Love it. But the two are not old to me.
You two can work it out. See, that's because you're young, Christiana. You're young, right?
I'm 43, bro.
Yeah,
bro.
Christiana's clearly younger than both of us. Come on now, Joni. Much younger. I'm not 43 either.
And you're only 30. What are you talking about?
I would say if I'm not really, but I'm quite happy. I'm happy to get old. I'm all right, thanks.
Yes. And that's the thing. I don't see when people say don't call me that. It's not because we don't want to mature. We just feel like that word is premature for us at the stages that we're in, right? No one is against maturing. Just allow us to mature at the right time. Don't mature me before I become mature. That's just not on. It's not cool. Let's not do that. But yes. So if there are no more questions, I think I'm going to say a huge thank you to Alicia for turning up. Thank you so much. Kimberly, it was so good to see you here. Cyrus, thank you so much. Lisa, yay. Thank you so much, Lisa. Michael B, thank you for your contribution. Joni is still here. Great. And Annie, I'm going to say this. You are my superstar. Whether it rains, it snows, the hill falls down, whether my laptop throws me out 1,000 times, you are always here. I don't take you for granted. You are my superstar. Always. And I know that we...
okay, good to engage. You send it through.
And I know that...
You're still talking. Send the food. Come on, guys.
What? No.
Suzanne,
He's
thank
my
you very much
brother
for being
from
here.
another mother.
Joyce, thank you for being here.
He's my
too.
brother.
You know,
Yeah,
Linda,
send the food.
great to see you guys. Let me just say hi to our audience. I've made the
Oh, sorry.
effort to be here. So Joyce, I thank you so much for being here. Suzanne, Linda, it's so great to see you guys. I do really appreciate you. I'm having to look through my phone to be able to get me to see who is here and who isn't here. So it's so nice. Thank you. For those who were supposed to be here that couldn't make it, I appreciate you. And I think also, do you know what's happened? Have you noticed any? When we first began, naturally we did like 2-3 hours show, and people will come later because like, that show is long. We'll go up towards the end or halfway through. And what I'm realizing now is the show is going to be closing sooner than you anticipate or you think, and people tend to miss out. Because I had our last show we did, I had a few DMs. I had sent private links, the link to my private connections, and I got a DM saying, what happened? It said ended, and I said, actually, yes, we did finish. We did finish on time, or we did finish an hour and a half or so later, and they were thinking they had more time to dive into the show. So here's what I'm saying to you. I'm going to send our invites out a little earlier. If you can jump on straight away, so we can see you. You can have questions. If you have comments to make, feel free, add them afterwards. Watch the replay and so on and so forth. But I think going forward, our shows are going to be less and less 3 hours. That's something I've said to myself mentally that I have to do because it has an impact and ripple effect. So with that being said, I'm going to have the very last word from Joni first.
Stay on a little bit longer.
Yes.
Joni,
yes. So Joni first. What's your last word, my dear, before we go?
My last word is, mosquito nets are pretty cheap. So you get one. And find a teaching hospital.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pregnant, that's the best. And listen to your body. And you can always call Christiana if you need some help.
Okay, thank you so much. Annie, thank you. Annie, get up here, Annie. I want to see you up close.
No one ever sees me up close, and I press the buttons, right?
Get yourself up here.
Omar, welcome. Omar's found Joni. Omar.
Hello, Omar.
Joni, Omar's looking for you. So yeah, Joni wants to be on Omar's show, and Omar wants Joni on his show. So
nice. I'm coming on Omar's show.
You haven't been though on Zoom party?
I've never been.
Well, connect with him. I'll connect you two in a group chat. It's a game show.
Oh, cool.
I think you're muted, Joni. You're muted.
Tell Omar I just had babies, not the type
that had babies, Omar.
I just had babies, and literally my life.
She messaged me. Oh, excellent.
She had 8 babies.
That would do. I'll take that. That's
no right. Babies in my tummy.
Yeah. Geriatric woman, all that. It's all right. Thank you, Joni. You're a star. You've made my day. I made that show today, for sure. I'm glad you came in the studio. I'm glad you showed off your puppy, which is rather strange. They're the smaller than I thought they were. Of course, I've had.
They are very tiny when they're born. Any last words? Let's go. Last words. Let's do this.
I've got 8 minutes. Contact Christiana if you need help. So thank you, Christiana, for bringing the topics. Thank you, Joni, for sharing so brilliantly, and thank you, Michael, as well. And I said, Michael, Michael clearly has a lot more knowledge about this than many of us. That's probably the only way I can say it. Certainly more than me. So thank you all for sharing. And I said, I think there was a comment from an amazing person earlier What does it say? Wow, I'm learning so much today. Oh, it's from me. That is,
you're always learning so much from each of my show. You're like, I'm learning so much
no,
today.
yeah, but today was a real. Today's a real eye opener. I mean, mosquitoes are everywhere. Now, the bit you haven't mentioned, the parts of the world you haven't mentioned, South America,
It is
the Caribbean,
the
they're
Caribbean.
everywhere, right? So, it's an interesting lesson to learn.
Yes.
Don't come to the United States because we have measles.
Yeah, there's measles everywhere.
But you have mosquito in the United States.
And Zika, but the measles are the worst. If you get rubella, like baby's not going to do well. So get vaccinated, everyone. Vaccinations.
Wrap yourself in the mosquito net.
Yes, and parade down the promenade. For the mosquitoes to have a field day.
I was mosquito looking at you thinking, what's that person doing?
Could you imagine if you could actually wear, sorry to cut you off too, if you could actually wear an air conditioning suit so they stay away from you?
That's called my car.
No, you can't walk around with your car.
No, but I can drive around the car and sit in my car all day and refuse to move.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah, come on. Find my control on. Yeah, that works. That works for me. Be like Joni.
Whatever, you're not getting pregnant. You're fine.
Be like Joni ride a motorbike. Yeah, that'll keep mosquitoes away for a second or two.
You're funny.
Anyway, thank you everyone. I appreciate you all. Now we really do. So do join us again in 2 weeks' time. My YouTube friends, you're the best. I love them. Awesome. My YouTube friends, they are, anyone who gets me, minutes, viewing time, anyone who gets me more subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I need your help. I need the numbers to keep going up. So, thank you. So do while you're there, my friends. So join us again in 2 weeks' time. More serious topics to be had. So we're gonna have a meeting to complete the plan, I suppose.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Thank you, Christiana. You're the star.
Thank you, guys. Okay. You are awesome.
Can we go now? Can we go?
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.com.